On Meditation, Finding Infinite Bliss and Power Within, written by Sri M. I will be reading this book and highlighting the points that I like as I read. I will be uploading chapter by chapter. So the first chapter, why should we meditate? What is meditation? Meditation in English refers to three of the parts of Patanjali Yoga Sutras, namely dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Dharana means the capability or the capacity or the practice by which one can put one's mind exclusively in one stream of thought. When that matures and becomes a continuous process, then that dharana becomes dhyana. When that dhyana can be sustained for a continuous period, then one can experience and understand what samadhi is. All this is prescribed in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. When we can do this for a length of time with absolutely no distractions, then we enter into a state where we forget that we are even meditating. There is only that state. That is called meditation. The object you are meditating on, the meditator, and the process all become one. Once you experience this, all other definitions simply become techniques towards the goal. There is no reaching out or grasping, just being. There is a cessation of all movement. While reading initially does help, reading about meditation, regular practice cannot be compromised. You need constant practice over a long period of time. Patience and one-pointed attention are required! Exclamation mark. Why should we meditate? Thought is a powerful weapon. It can be limiting and it can be unconditioning, both. Thought can condition you and make you think that you cannot do something. And thought can also be conditioned to say, yes, I can do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't think, you should think. Don't put your thinking faculties in cold storage, especially when there are gurus roaming around. Now, that energy can be tapped systematically and utilized for your life, referring to the energy that we have within us, that we use for everything. First, it can be used to uncondition the mind and make it more expansive. And second, it can be utilized to gain access to infinite modes of energy. If thoughts such as, I am this body, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a child, or I am an old person, can be unconditioned, or at least set to rest for a while, then it's possible to access that source of all energy that is within us. Fortunately, this happens to be a blissful energy and not a painful energy. The prerequisite for touching that is that you decondition yourself from the thought that I am limited, I am this body, I cannot do this, and I cannot do that. What are the different reasons why people meditate? People drink because when they come home after a hard day of work, they often have a lot of stress and want to get rid of it. So they say, let me relax for the time being and forget about the world. When you drink, the senses are numbed and you forget about many things, including the stresses from your day. You think you're fine. However, the next morning there's a hangover, and the next evening you repeat it. So instead of that, you can use meditation. So there was a little story that Krishna and his friend Narada were walking, and they walked into a person's house because they were thirsty, and it was a wealthy person. And Krishna asked him if he could get some water, and he said, of course, here you have. And he milked his cow and he brought them spiced milk. And Krishna said, bless you, may you have health and much more wealth. And then they went on, and Narada was all suspicious, what is Krishna going to do again? And they found a very simple peasant who only had a cow living in his little hut. And Krishna said, let's have a drink as well. So they went in. The peasant was busy, said, I'm sorry, I cannot give you anything. I have to milk my cow. I have to wash my cow, I have to take care of it. So he did that, and then he milked it, and he brought them milk sometime later. And then they just walk away. And Krishna said, well, I hope this person loses his cow. And Narada was like, what are you saying? This is not nice. And what Krishna said is that, you see, this chap's only attachment on this earth is this cow. I have to just remove it and he will come directly to me. I don't have to do anything else. But the other man will take a long time to come. So let him enjoy his wealth. So what he's saying is that different people have different reasons for starting to meditate. And something as painful as losing the only thing that you're attached to, it will directly lead you to meditation and contemplation of God. Can meditation help with dealing with difficulty, health problems, sorrow, and depression? If you are not interested in enlightenment, then you are not ready for it. Then there is an explanation of the word dhara, which is part of dharana. And dhara means stream, a line of descending liquid like rain or water poured out of a vessel. So this stream flowing out is the one point in concentration that you have. And when you prolong it, then dhyana becomes. If it only works when you sit down, it's a good thing, talking about meditation or dharana. But if it also works when you are in this tumultuous world, then it is even better. When you say enlightenment, that doesn't mean you should always be sitting stiff. Enlightenment is enlightenment only when it's there, even in the midst of getting into a bus. It is always there. Therefore, since you have found peace and satisfaction, you really don't want anything more. But it's not as if you have become stagnant. In every minute of every second, it's renewed. That probably should be the ultimate use of meditation. Another question. What is mindfulness? I am weighing my words carefully. Do my words affect someone negatively, even though they may be true? Words can cause a great deal of problems. Sometimes you can hit somebody, you can get a slap, and it may be forgotten in a day or two. But if you use words which hurt that person, he or she might carry it for life. So therefore, when you speak, watch carefully. This is very important in your spiritual life. It's not that you simply have to sit down and meditate. This refers to vak, speech, which is both an action. It actually affects surrounding what you say. It is an action which other people and other creatures hear and therefore affects them directly. First, I should consider what I'm going to say before I speak. I should give it a thought, half a minute, think about what am I going to say. 2, who am I to say it to? Sometimes what I'm going to say may be okay, but the person I'm going to say this to may not be the right person. For example, going to somebody who believes that so-and-so is the last prophet and saying, no, there is another prophet. It may be true, but I can't say it to that guy, right? Creates immediate trouble. So first, what am I going to say? And second, to whom am I going to say it? Third, is this the right situation to say that? You might be saying the truth, you may be saying it to the right person, but what if he just had a fight at home? And then you say it to this person. It may come with a different reaction. So we can't always be 100% right. But as far as possible, if we can look at this, many problems can be avoided when we operate with mindfulness inside. There is inner mindfulness and outer mindfulness. And to live a mindful life is to integrate the two. A person who is mindful is usually a gentle person because the mind has settled down. You cannot even go to such a mind to get angry with somebody. It's not possible. because that person sees that the other person is not different from himself or herself. The person sees that in reality there's only one. There's a story about a woman. When she was young, she was fond of music. Her parents were both doctors, and they wanted her to become a doctor. So they pushed her into medicine. In India, this happens quite often. She's a very successful doctor now. In a situation like this, some people can turn that regret into anger and violence. But she did not. Lucky for her, she got herself a nice piano, and in her free time, she plays and listens to music. She says, "The best times in my life are when I play the piano." This is a demonstration of resolving the problem that results from the mind being in pieces, where we want something but get something else due to our circumstances. She could have been angry her whole life, but she overcame it, and that saved her. And that is why Sri M nicely points out that this is lucky for her, because she would just be destroying her own life and probably the life of other people around her if she was very angry. Practical. If you want to make the world a better place, you can go out and reform it as much as you want. But if you don't change in here, in your heart, if you don't become mindful of your inner nature and realize that the mind is a common factor between all of us, then, however much you reform the outside, the problem of violence and war cannot be solved. We have to start by changing our own heart here. We have to be mindful. Therefore, mindfulness is outside, and mindfulness is also inside. And if both these can be integrated, that is called mindfulness. If this is done, then it's a stepping stone to go beyond the ordinary mind. Sri M met the Dalai Lama, and they had a little conversation. They were talking about Shunya and Purna. Shunya being the Buddhist representation of no thing, and Purna meaning the fullness of this. That is called compassion, said His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. So this is what happens when you are really mindful. True mindfulness and true sensibility take you beyond that which can be defined. This is mindfulness and beyond. Okay, next chapter I will read soon. It is on how to meditate.